For this conversation, we're going to start out easy, even though, as Dimitri was talking earlier, he's done the swim from Alcatraz, which right off the bat tells me he is not one to slouch away from hard things. So, but let's start with an easy question for both of you, which is really, what's the single biggest learning or takeaway you guys have had since March, since the pandemic started, right? We're in August now. We've had lockdowns. We've had a lot of activity. And in the world of IT, lots happened. So, well, what's that single biggest thing that, takeaway you guys have had?
Jason, you want me to take that, or do you want to
Yeah,
start?
go ahead.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing that I observed can probably be summarized in that business continuity trumps security, right? This is me saying that as from a security vendor point of view. But what I observed is, it was a rush for business continuity, and then of course, and that's important, right? And if we go down, for example, the same route in the next 3-4 months, et cetera, it's the most important thing is for companies to allow their employees to continue to operate. But of course, now that it's not going to be an emergency, we have actually time to plan. Security is a very, very close second, and if not done correctly, it can actually undermine business continuity in a big way. But anyway, I'll save that for the rest of the discussion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, Dimitri, you hit it. I mean, the business continuity piece of it trumped everything. And it wasn't necessarily so much about the continuity plans that everybody had put in place. It was the continuity plan multiplied by tenfold because it affected the entire organization versus maybe one little aspect of it, which is a lot of what the plans are built upon. And not only that, everybody else was going through the same thing at the same time. So it kind of flipped everything upside down, really.
It's interesting that you guys say that. I actually was working with, in January, a business continuity professional out of Ottawa, Canada. And he literally said to me, businesses typically don't take continuity seriously until something crazy happens. Like, imagine if a pandemic hits.
Just imagine.
Well, I mean, because the news was just starting to come out of China that there was a virus, right? But it's interesting. It was even more interesting to hear SonicWall just tell me that continuity was trumping security right now. But I get why that is. But
that's what we observed. There were companies that there were. Literally, I was reading conversations, on various forums or had discussions where all these, poor IT folks who were like, I just got out of a meeting with the exec staff and they told me by Monday the entire company has to be remote. What do I do? By Monday, right? And why? It's so that we can actually continue to sell, produce, build things, etc., and the business actually stays open, right? So that's priority number one. And whatever duct tape ad hoc solutions they threw up, of course, now that creates a fascinating security discussion because, and I see one of my colleagues joined me in the background, but so that creates obviously a fascinating security discussion from the perspective of all the hackers are basically, kind of licking their lips at all the ad hoc systems thrown up and all of the remote workers. And again, that's why I was saying, even though continuity trumps security, security is like a massive, it's a huge second thing that's like right behind continuity that can completely undermine, if not done right, it completely can undermine the business.
Well, let's speak to that a bit, right? What are the gaps and actually, Jason, I'm going to ask you first because I think you're a little more boots on the ground. But Dimitri, we're going to come back to you. What are the gaps that you saw in your clients, in your customers? Whether it's IT, business, security, just what'd you see?
So, and really, we saw kind of the variety across the board. I mean, every customer had their own little differences and gaps. I mean, some of the companies that felt that they were really adequately prepared for continuity in case a single location went down. I mean, it was tested heavily. And when the fact that it was just like Dimitri talked about, it wasn't that, one office was going to be sent home remote. It was, we're going to send all of our staff home remote and you better be prepared. So that was a big challenge with a lot of organizations, not only just with the hardware, the components that they had in place for their employees or their team members to take home, but with the systems that were in place to connect them. So, there was a lot of scrambling. There was a lot of, ad hoc, just get it to work. And then there was a lot of people on the flip side too that were trying to, how do we make this as secure as possible? But it seemed like that was on the latter side. So, but not only just the connectivity pieces of it, it was ensuring that all the applications functioned the way that they needed them to keep the lights on and the doors open without that presence in a brick and mortar type building. So there were a lot of things that were going on, lots of challenges across the board.
And if I may add, what this effectively does is this kind of took companies into kicking and screaming into digital transformation. Wherever they were on the digital transformation curve, right? This is like, you have no choice. You're coming with me now, right? And so, in a way, it's and this it's not done, right? And the smart companies right now, the smart organizations, whether it's out of necessity and they're still resisting, or whether they're embracing it, are now building ways, embarking on that digital transformation journey. And for those who are listening to this, and digital transformation is a broad topic, what I'm talking about is, can your company operate fully digitally? Are things digitized? Can you transact your business? Can you add value, whatever it is that you do as an organization, and interface with your customers all digitally, right? That's kind of the digital transformation conversation. So and larger organizations, enterprises, et cetera, they are already there, right? They have professional IT staff, they're already there. I think it's the mid-sized and smaller organizations or public institutions that got kicking and screaming, were forced into this journey. And I don't want to emphasize that this is a journey, because it takes time to transform.
It's interesting. I talked to a business owner the other day that he was very anti-cloud, and he realized though, like he was almost, to your point, he was almost forced into having to make this transition and make this move, because at the end of the day, like, he now had a remote workforce. He had to change and he had to change in, not only in people and process, but systems. Like, he had to make a shift, and that was hard, right? And he wasn't.
But this is a good thing. It's
like you don't always know what to do.
Yeah, but
did I just hear this is a good thing?
Yes, I think this is a good thing, right? Because what effectively is happening is that IT administrators now have a license to do what they may have been trying to do for 5 years and would have been getting resistance.
It's the pandemic.
Resistance. They got a license to do whatever needs to be done, right? And listen, I was speaking to a CISO of a large university in Europe, and this is like late March, in the thick, this country was one of the ones heavily affected. And he is responsible for 50,000 students, faculty, researchers, etc. And he was like, my daily active users of Microsoft Teams went from 1,000 a day to 25,000 a day in a matter of 2 weeks. And now I'm starting to change my future investment plans of where I'm, and like a lot of users that he had, and he kind of uses a caricature. He was like, yeah, some of the old crusty professors still using Office 97 who refuse to change. They're now actually have been forced to change, and they actually like it. They're like forced to learn something new. He's like, now I can get rid of a lot of this stuff that I had to hang on because they would refuse to change. So that's what I'm saying. It is an opportunity, because you've got basically a license to do whatever needs to be done without any sort of negative organizational pushback.
I remember when I built my first website, my mom said, I mean, that's cool, but you're going to need to like get a real job, right? Love you, Mom. I hope you're not watching, because I'm sending you this clip. Jason, what was a hard lesson that you or your company or maybe one of your customers learned, right? We're talking about opportunities and just gaps and all that kind of stuff, but I can't help but feel like there were some painful lessons that people went through. And if there's people listening to this, whether live or in the future, what's a painful lesson that maybe they could avoid?
I did ask a few of my customers the same exact question. Like, we were trying to figure out some details around, what really went wrong. And for the most part, it necessarily wasn't a, boy, that just really hurt hard. I mean, it was just a bad deal. It was more of a all hands on deck. Let's come together as a team and let's figure this out. So I can't really say there was so much of a really hard lesson. It was how do we become the most ingenious, creative, IT staff out there to get this done and to move on from the point of sending people to the local retail boxes while they're still open to buy every last laptop off the shelf, to, trying to have, work with the different departments to retool themselves. It wasn't necessarily a, drop dead hard lesson. It was just, how do we evolve from this? How do we get through it? I think everybody was in such a hard mindset of just getting through it that's kind of where it landed.
Yeah, I can resonate with that.
So we obviously, this is a lot of the lessons learned from the past. What are people talking about right now? Like, I mean, you're obviously, JC, you guys, as Cam said, boots on the ground, you're talking to people. Dimitri, obviously, from a SonicWall perspective, you're talking to a lot of partners. You're talking to a lot of end users globally. What are people talking about now that's different than what they were talking about even 30 days ago?
Right. So, I'll start here, Dimitri, but I think everybody's more worried, not necessarily about the pandemic. They're more worried about the schools right now. Are there kids going back to school, or do we have to go through homeschooling 2.0 this fall? So there's definitely a lot of worried, parents out there wanting to figure out their work life, how that's gonna look again this fall. But besides that, looking back and trying to be, somewhat rewind the tape a little bit and maybe undo some things that were done. I mean, there's a little bit of that. Most of our companies that we've worked with do feel pretty comfortable with the situation that they're in, but knowing that security is a huge thing, right? So
yeah.
You really need to take a deeper dive at the security aspect of everything that was opened up and allowed to be remote that wasn't before. And what does that look like? Making sure two-factor authentication is on everything across the board, and then even kind of taking to the next level of figuring out, where they're at with performance of those applications. So I kind of equate it to this. We have like 3 different tiers of where we felt everybody was at. The companies that had no presence on remote and they were drug into it and they needed to get it going really quick. The ones that had it and were trying to expand it even further beyond what they had today and just get it done. And then the ones now that have it done and they're like, okay, we have a remote workforce. We got drug into this digital evolution and we're there. How do we make sure that all of our team members and employees have the best tools available at the best performance available? Do we have to retool things in the back end? So that's kind of we're kind of more playing on that third aspect of it, of, the security aspect, as well as how do we get these systems to perform when people aren't in the building anymore the way that they need them to. So it's not, well, I'm working from home, I can accept the fact it's a little slower and I'm not going to get as much done.
Yeah.
We don't want to go down that path. We really want people to be as productive at home as they were in the office.
So do you see this as Dimitri said, as an opportunity from a technical perspective for businesses to take that next step to try to move into kind of the next technological advancement of efficiency for their business?
Absolutely. I mean, the companies that weren't already built to be just 100% remote workforce and have thought about that and thought through it, everybody's getting drug into it, as Dimitri said. They're literally getting drug into it, kicking and screaming, and it's a great opportunity to truly reevaluate everything from business process to the tools and the applications and the systems that you're using. So there's a lot of opportunity here to be more efficient.
If I run a business, like a financial business or a healthcare business, is it fair to say that maybe right now I should be very invested in my security if I have my team that just went home, right? Like it just seems to me like, well, no, I'm just thinking out loud here. Like, so,
Yeah.
So you're talking about all these people that continuity was the thing. So let's get everybody home and let's get them working. My question is, if I'm a dental office, if I'm a radiology clinic, if I'm a bank, does that not put a lot of risk on me?
So, all of the HIPAA requirements and the PCI requirements that whether it be financial or healthcare and all of the other requirements that are out there, by all means, there's a lot of things to take a look at. I did talk with a few organizations about that as well, just to make sure, how are they handling that component of it? For the most part, it seems like, even on the PCI side, the things that they had put in place before on the technology side to protect the organizations, they do kind of flow nicely through whether you're working from home or you're in the office, right? I mean, the same DLP type protections or whatever might have been put in place, those things do tend to help. The HIPAA side, we're actually ourselves still trying to figure that part of it out and asking our customers to make sure, what else are we missing? Is there anything that we have to be concerned about? So we're kind of a little bit of a gray area at the same time, just with our customers at the same time, trying to figure out, what needs to be done in that aspect.